What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Bitcoin today, BTC USD. Hit that like button, you guys. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and let's get into it. All right, it is the 21st day of August, and here we are sitting at about $112.6 thousand right now with a new low on the day at about 112.2K. We have gotten screwy with these longs and shorts. I haven't refreshed this. This is the Ethereum longs and shorts. I just want to refresh it now and just watch how much it changes over the last like 12 hours, right? Or probably at this point, like 15 hours. All the shorts have piled on. You know, it's nice seeing this shakeout of things because as we do this, there's less leveraged positions overall, and that allows for the price to grow higher. From Bitcoin here, we can see that there are some longs that have piled on, but when we were at the lows, when we were at about 112.2K, these longs were pretty diminished. So there have been more longs piled on now, but even still, less than 2 billion in a 24-hour period is pretty low for Bitcoin typically, right? So that's good to see. There's a lot of shorts. Looks like we're coming back for the shorts now. To clear out all these shorts, we'd have to go up to about 115.6K. I'm assuming that's what's going to happen. We'll pile on more longs. We'll probably pull back, right? Typically, not financial advice, not a financial advisor, but typically whenever you do find a low, whenever you retrace a range, as you move back through this range, right? And let's just define this. I did think that this overall range would be more like this, right? And with some blemishes to the outside, but looks like we do actually have this whole overall range here. And while we're in this overall range like this, typically whenever you're on your way back up, you do meander, right? You kind of meander here and there, and then you get ready. Once you get up toward the upper echelons of this channel, this range, that's when you really start to break out and see that fantastic growth phase. But you never know. Bitcoin, I mean, here, if we take it for example, you had this kind of slanted range here, and whenever you're retracing this, you just came all the way back up, and then once you broke out, that's whenever you got to going. But or that's whenever you consolidated, and then you broke out further after that. But I don't know. Anything can happen. I'm just saying typically, in case I'm being confusing, because I feel like I'm being confusing, typically with these kind of ranges, you retrace, you kind of meander your way up there, and then as you get to these upper limits, like the last 25% of this range, that's whenever you look for that breakout move where it's a little bit larger, a little bit more familiar with what we've done in the past when climbing our way to higher prices. So all I'm saying there is we'll probably move up a little bit, we'll move down a little bit. We'll move up a little bit, we'll move down a little bit. We'll move up a little bit, we'll move down a little bit, just to shake out those leverage positions or make them question themselves, not make it easy for anybody that's going long or short. That'd be my expectation. But let's look at the short-term stuff, and then we'll come back out to the daily, okay? Besides talking, let's actually do some TA here. I haven't looked at the comments yet, but I'm assuming. I'm doing a big amount of assuming right here, but whenever I called for the low originally, whenever I actually made a video saying this is the low, it was at this low, okay? It was like during the high points of this right here, I was calling for the low right there, and then we went down literally that next hour. I'm wondering if there are a bunch of hyenas in the comments who are shouting victory, claiming victory over me because the price went down 0.8%. I'm wondering, man. And at the end of the day, right, let's see. If the price moves up, if this is the low and we move up, even if it moves a little bit lower and we move up, close is close enough, man. You know, whatever. I'm not perfect. I don't claim to be perfect, right? But we've definitely, the majority of this downtrend, we've expected it, right? From the top to damn near the entire move. So whatever. And beyond that, we've been absolutely prepared for the possibility of going lower, right? I've said oftentimes, and I'll say it now, that while I thought that was the low, or while I think this is the low, this is the low, this is the low, or even this is the low, we could go lower and it's still fine. There is still that possibility looming over us of a flash crash taking place, right? And this is kind of intense, just, nonstop down. I think if we were to see a flash crash, it would have happened. The fact that this was intense but more tame compared to like these moves, maybe we don't get a flash crash. Maybe that was it. I don't know, but we do have lower lows here in the price. Volume is dying off as we're moving lower. That tells me that the move to the downside is coming to an end, if not at an end. We do have bullish divergence on the 1 hour RSI. We've got bullish divergence on the stochastics, and the MACD. MACD kind of looks bearish, for being honest, but it's the 1 hour time frame. But that's okay. But 2 to 1 on the bullish side. I'll take the bulls. I think that we are going to be moving up from here. Looking at the 4 and plus the shorts again, they've taken back dominance on the 1 day and the 7 day time frame. If we go to the 7 day here, I wonder. Yeah, a lot more shorts than longs there. So, but there are still a good bit of longs. I mean, if we move down, we're close enough. We move down to 110.4K. Again, I'm not calling for that. just because there's all these longs here doesn't mean that we have to go there. I'm not calling for that, but we could. I mean, we're pretty damn close. Why not drop another $2,000? We could, that'd be right here. That'd be right there. And let's actually look at this real quick from a low to a high perspective. Okay, low here to a high there. It's 108. With that, then we'd go to 108.7K. That'd be the more likely outcome. I mean, we would just clear out all these longs at that point. I don't know. I don't know if we do that. 3 billion in longs over the past 7 days is pretty small in comparison. We normally get that many longs on a 1 day period, but I'm going to stop looking at this so much. Let's go back to the TA here. Looking at this on a 4-hour time frame, we do have double bullish divergence on the RSI, which is nice. Low here, higher low, and right at the oversold zone. That's a very perfect area to see this kind of bullish revenge take place, right? We've got these lower lows and lower highs. I have a hard time seeing us go lower, right? Typically, as you get in these downtrends in the RSI, I mean, you can only go so far, right? You can only get to the 0, and getting to the 10 is hard enough. Getting below the 20 is hard enough. As you can see, I mean, we don't really go below the 20. Are we going to do that here? Again, if we did something like that, I think the event, like a flash crash could happen. And if we do see a flash crash, maybe that's what we do, guys. Maybe we go all the way down to 108.7K. But again, if that happens, and I'm not calling for this, understand, I'm not trying to play both sides of the ball. I'm just making us aware of the scenarios that happen so that we don't freak out if the wrong thing happens or the thing that was meant to be happens. But I'm not calling for us to go down here. If we went down here and the price went down here and then came back up, I wouldn't be like, I told you this would happen, because that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying I could see a scenario where if we were to see a flash crash, that 108.7K area might be exactly where we find support at the 1272. Bitcoin has actually shown a lot of respect to its 1272s in forms of resistance and support this cycle. So it's very possible. It's a very possible area to go to. And that would be a perfect little crash. We crash back below 110K. Psychological resistance is broken. People think the bear market's on. And then as soon as we get down there, boom, we're back up before you can say, it's time to panic. I don't know, but before you have time to think about it, right? If you're going to sleep, if you're in bed, you might not even realize that it happened. But typically these moves kind of happen, I think, when the Western world is awake, not whenever they're asleep. So it'll probably, if it were to happen, it would happen while we're awake. But again, the only way to justify that would be just to clear out some of these long leverage positions here, which on the 7 day period it's 3.5, on the 30 day period it's 4. I don't know if it's worth it, but maybe it's worth it. I don't know. I feel like there's not that many shorts piled on either, guys. That's crazy. I mean, there are, $13-14 billion worth of shorts just to get back to 125K. But anyways, short of that happening, I am expecting that we are at the low, right? Called for it there, called for it here, called for it here, called for it here. One of these times it's going to be right. Maybe I'll be way, way off, and that's okay. Even in that event, we were still pretty bearish at the top here, calling for a shakeout, basically right down to these levels. So if we catch all this, but then we miss this little part, that's like a B plus, right, on the test. We did all right. And the main reason that we're talking about this is so that if it happens, not when it happens, but if it happens, people aren't freaking out. They're not making the wrong decisions. They're not panic selling, because I remember what it was like to start my investing journey, right? You follow somebody, they tell you that this is the low, and then something like that happens and it comes back up. You think while it's down here, oh no, this is the end of the world. But it's like, hold on now. I might not be making a video or going live or be able to tell anybody at that time while it's down here to just hold on, wait a second, let's see how this resolves itself. People can make, panicked decisions in moments like this, and that's exactly what they're meant for, moments like that. So if it does happen, just be aware, but I don't think it is going to happen. We've got some serious bullish divergence built up on the RSI, on the stochastics, on the MACD. We're actually in the green as we're getting lower lows. That's bullish. That's bullish stuff, you guys. Okay, that's actually very bullish. So that's good. We want to see that. I mean, it's not that you want to see that, but seeing that is, I guess you do want to see that. That's a very ideal situation, typically. Typically it is. Let's see. Do we have another example of something like that happening? No. Let me see if I can just find one. It's not common. It's not common to get a lower low while having green momentum being built, bullish momentum being built on the MACD. You kind of have it here. It's like almost to a certain degree. Nope. It's a very rare occurrence, but it has happened in Bitcoin's history. It happened at the 2018-2019 cycle low, that bear market low there. I know it did. If that's not a good enough reference in itself, I can't find another example. It is just a rare occurrence in itself to see that, but just further adding, I mean, we just went through basically like the last year's worth of price action and couldn't find an example of that. So, oh, this is on the 4 hour time frame too, so maybe not the past years, but anyways, I'm just meandering here, so let's move on. All right, 4 hour time frame. I think that all these indicators actually do look bearish, except for the MACD. The MACD has a bullish posturing, but so does the stochastics and the RSI have a bullish posturing as well. They are bearish because they have downtrends, but you're at the point where you would expect to break this downtrend. Typically, downtrends end in the oversold zone with bullish divergence. This stochastics having bullish divergence doesn't always happen, but when it does, it's a powerful signal normally. So we're waiting on that. Technically, we have the look of bullish divergence. It's not there until we have a green candle. So 47 minutes left in this 4 hour period. Let's see if we can get a green candle to close. If not, it's possible that we do go a little bit lower on the next candle, maybe to close out the day, but we're looking for a green candle. Once you get a green candle confirmed, that bullish divergence should take us back to about 115K and just beyond there. I wouldn't be surprised if we went just beyond there. Okay, so that's the thoughts there. And again, what's just beyond 115K? This wall of short sells right here at about 115.6, right? About 1.7 billions in shorts. So 2 billion in shorts at 117K. And then if we look at this here, let's just see from a high to a low. We won't take the fake out low. We'll take this low, high to low of the move, right? It's kind of like meandering now. 117K at the 382. That's actually a good resistance point there, support point there. Prior resistance, prior support. It's the 382. You can go just above there. 117K would clear out most of these shorts, so or at least 116.8K, something around there. That might be the next destination. Then from there, it's very common to find resistance at the 382 or just above the 382. So if we get above 116.8, 116.9, don't get too excited. It's very common to find resistance here. A lot of cryptos have been doing this thing where they go up to their 0.5 even, and then they come back to their 236. So even if we go up to 118K, don't get too excited. But find resistance in this area, come back to the 236. Pretty common to do that. Find support at about 115.1K, and then we'll continue to move up to the golden ratio, find some resistance there, meander, as I was saying in the beginning. And then once we get to this part, once we get to this last kind of section of this range overall, that's when we look to break out. That's when we look to see that phenomenal movement taking place. And the way that I have this drawn on the 4 hour, this could take place. I mean, we could have a bullish weekend, giving a gap. if we had a gap up over the weekend, then everybody would be bearish, and then shorts would pile on, and that might actually give us the fuel we need to move higher, which would be phenomenal. Maybe we are a little bit more bearish over the weekend, and this drop, right here, the way I have it drawn, could take place. Maybe we're up here by Saturday, and then Sunday we come down. I don't know. Sundays have been pretty good to us lately, except for last Sunday. And then as the week takes place, this is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday here. Next week, end of month. It's the last week of the month for August. We should be moving up to new all-time highs. 128K is the minimum target. 132.6K is the next target. And then really, I think we're going to see these deeper extensions being hit typically with these ranges that we've had. And if we look at this on the daily time frame, typically we do get into the secondary range. Let's do that real quick, and we'll end this video, okay? Just so you guys know what I'm talking about, okay? Let's go through this whole cycle. It's not going to take long, I promise. If you're bored, just pay attention, okay? This part I think is somewhat interesting. You're going to walk away learning a little bit of something that'll give you more conviction in the idea of where this move's going to go, and the fact that we probably do go above not just 130K, but 140K even, inevitably. Let's look at it on the 3-day time frame, because there's just so much data to go through, okay? We're not going to go through every single thing, just this bull cycle, okay? So if we're looking at this from a high to low here, our kind of like only pivot that we have right there, end of bear market, high to low, where you topped off is the 1886, just below the 2272. Okay, so deep, that's the 1886. The secondary target zone is the 1886 to the 2618. Primary target zone is the 1618 to the 1272. Every single range that we draw, you're going to see that we stop in the secondary target zone. Okay, and that's actually a very shallow one right there. Okay, so from that range, we take this high to low of this overall consolidation phase here, right? This high here. I hope it's obvious as to what consolidation phase I'm taking this here. High to low, we went all the way up to the 2618, and even a little bit past that to the 2886. Okay, so deep extensions there, deep extensions. We take the next consolidation range, which is here. We take the high to the low. high to low. I hope it's obvious where the range is. It's this little range right here, all the way up to the 2618 as well, right there. Okay, we take this high to low right here of the overall range, high to low, and you went up to your 1886, which again, that's the low side of the secondary target area. Okay, we take this high to low now. We have stopped at the 1272, which again, I did say we like the 1272 this cycle for whatever reason we have, but I think ultimately we'd be going up at least to 150 to 160K, if not maybe even as high as 200K. I'm sticking with something that's in the middle, probably right there at about 180 to 190K right here, right, something like that. But this little box, that's kind of what we have in mind. Okay, so we'll leave that fib up there. Now let's take this range. Okay, we take the high to the low, this low here, our 1886 to the 2618 of this range here lines up at about 136K to 147K. So in a very short amount of time, because this is a smaller range, in a short amount of time, I would assume that we are up in this area. And then based off of this overall consolidation phase back here, this move, as it is from like April 7th to wherever we stop before we see our next long-term consolidation phase like this, will likely be somewhere up at least between here and here. Okay, that's the next target area. So we're going to see a nice rapid movement up to about 138 to 147K. And then from there, maybe consolidate a little bit for the rest of September going into October, and then finish off October with this move up here at about 180K is my thoughts. But I don't really have anything else to say. I think I've said everything I need to say. If it's not by the end of September that we're at 180K, then it's going to be the end of October, somewhere in that kind of time frame. Hit the like button, you guys. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Thank you all for being here. I do believe that we found our low today. I believe that we found our low yesterday too, though. So, and we're off by like 0.8%. So if I'm wrong, same kind of message as it's been, probably by a little bit. But do be aware, Bitcoin loves to give these massive shakeouts before it pumps. That oftentimes does happen. I shouldn't say oftentimes, but it happens a good bit of the time. It's pretty common. So don't be surprised. Don't be scared if we do see a sudden shift down to 110K. $108,000, something like that. As long as we come right back within that like same day or within that same week, I think that we're fine. It doesn't have to be like we move down fast and then we come back up just as fast. It can be a fast move down and then a kind of gradual move up. It doesn't have to share that same speed, but it would have to be at a rather, not too slow of a speed. We don't want to crawl our way up there. We want to move up at a decent pace, right? And oftentimes you do move up pretty damn fast, but even if it's not as fast as the move down, that's not concerning as long as it's just relatively fast. Anyways, I got nothing else. Hit the like button, subscribe, take care of yourselves. Again, I'm not calling for a shakeout. I'm just putting it on the radar because something inside me is, it's saying, hey, maybe we should be aware of this. It could happen. It happens a lot. It does happen pretty damn often. So, or pretty commonly. So just be aware, if we see some kind of shakeout, all that is a stop hunt. It's a flash crash. We'll come right back. It's not a big deal, but I don't think that's going to happen. Otherwise, that'd be my call. My call is that we found the low. Hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you all. Take care. Bye-bye.